Hey everyone, welcome back to another video with me, Lee the Dorset Spur. Don't usually do too many videos and stuff like that. I like to try to just talk about the previous game, and then of course I've got the new shoot the shit video that I've been doing with some friends, just to kind of have a bit of a therapy session, mate, on a Tuesday to go out on a Wednesday. But to be honest with you, there's a few things playing on my mind, and kind of feel like I need to get it out. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to record how I feel. And if you're watching this video, it's because I've actually put it out. I'm actually doing this for a bit of therapy for myself today, because I'm getting a little bit wound up, I guess. And I just kind of wanted to talk it through, maybe in my own mind, but kind of just saying how I feel and seeing if that kind of makes sense or if it doesn't make sense. Just kind of ramble on a little bit. So the theme of this video technically is the transfer market. So if you've been a regular viewer of my videos, you'll know that I am not a fan of deadline day, transfer talk, in the nose, all that kind of stuff. And I've said many, many times that I do not profess to be an expert on players from all around the different leagues, all around the world, and all the rest of it. I literally do not have the time to watch every game in every league across the time. I've got a full-time job, I've got a family, I've got work that takes up a lot of my time. I'm busy, and so I don't have time for all that. So my main focus has always been Tottenham. I've been a Tottenham fan since I first started going in 1978 as an 11-year-old kid, um, and that's been my focus ever since. I've never really got too much involved in anything else. Children today, my grandsons included, know every player in every league around the world because they play Football Manager or they play FIFA and all the rest of it, and that seems to be very, very realistic in terms of what it does and all the rest of it. So probably my 10-year-old grandson will probably do a better job of talking about the transfer market and players that we need to buy and all the rest of it than I would, and that's just being transparent. So I guess the first point I wanted to make is Tottenham Hotspur is a privately owned football club, right? So it almost doesn't really matter what I think, because I'm not in the know. I don't have any influence or anything like that. I'm a paying fan who goes to games, who shouts and swears and sings and enjoys when I can, gets fed up when I can't. I moan about it. I moan to my friends about it. I moan on here about it and stuff like that. But ultimately, it has absolutely zero impact on my football club, which is pretty much the same for every single fan of every single club around the country. It doesn't stop, and indeed around the world. It doesn't stop us moaning about it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion. But I guess the first thing really is to say that every cog in the wheel around a football club has a different, I guess, affiliation, should I say, with the club, right? So if you're a player of the club, right, your affiliation is pretty much the same as you and your job, right? So you work for a company or yourself or whatever. So your affiliation, your commitment to your club, to your job, is between the hours of whatever start time you've got, whatever finish time you've got. Maybe you stretch it out and about for different things. Maybe you enjoy your job a lot, so you maybe put in a bit more and all the rest of it. A football player is in a very similar position, right? They don't have an affiliation with our football club. They may have if they've been a product of the academy, or if their family are supporters of the club and so on. They may have more of an affiliation. But ultimately, it's their job. They get paid. They do what they need to do. So they'll do all the different club stuff that's out there that they need to do and so on, right? The manager of the club also has a different relationship in the fact that they are there again as an employee, but they have then a business aspect of their role. Okay, so the manager's role is to provide the performance of the company, in this case, the football team. And so they will have the pressures of that. They'll have the stuff they have to do with the media, all that kind of stuff. So they've got all those different hats they have to wear. But their relationship essentially with the club is one of employee. But their vested interest is making it successful to promote their own performance and maybe move on to better jobs or better pay or better standing or whatever it is, right? But essentially, they're still just an employee. That also then goes for all the other staff and that are generally around who look after different bits and pieces of it, from the academy to marketing to sales to recruitment, whatever that might be, right? And then of course on top of that you've also got your owners. Okay, so the owner's relationship with the football club is one of business. Now they can profess to be a fan of the club. In our case, Daniel Levy says he's a fan of Tottenham Hotspur. He's a football fan. It's his club that he used to watch. Okay, but that's not always the case when you think about people like Mike Ashley or the lady who was at Newcastle, or the American guy that looks after Aston Villa, or no, Bournemouth rather. All these people, they're business people, right? So their relationship with the club is investment, making money, promoting their investment, supporting their shareholders, and all the rest of it. And they have a relationship with the club in terms of dealing with things like, recruitment and so on. So they'll set the budgets, they'll set the expectation, and so on and so forth. They'll set the direction that they want the club to go in, or the business to go in. And there are also commercial ventures all around that sort of stuff. So their relationship, again, with the club is totally different to the players, to the manager, whatever. So then it comes to the fan, right? So we are technically the lifeblood of the football club, but we are also customers of the business. So from an owner's point of view, you are a customer. You are the person that provides the profit for the club. So they want you to spend money, they want you to be invested, and all the rest of it. Now, in terms of when you're at the ground and atmosphere and all the rest of it, the club really couldn't care less whether you make a good atmosphere or not, right? That's not really their thing. It looks good on the TV and it might inspire more clicks around people talking about the club and all that. Because listen, it doesn't matter if you're getting in the news for whatever it is. That's all good. That's all good PR, right? So, but they're not really bothered about that. So, hence why, there is no real support for things like tifos or flags or banners or songs or any of that kind of stuff, right? Because they're not really bothered about that. It makes no difference to them. That doesn't generate income. What it does is it generates a better atmosphere and stadium going effect for the person. So I go there, and if the fans are singing and there's banners and people, I enjoy that. I love that. I think it brings to the whole experience, right? But ultimately, they don't give it two tosses about that, right? But from a fan's perspective, our football club is life. And I've said this so many times. You are more likely to divorce your wife and move on to a new partner, or fall out with your kids or your family or close friends and all that, than you are to leave your football team. I don't know anybody who has gone, I'm done with my football club, that's it, I'm walking away, I don't want nothing to do with it. I know there are fans that will say, I'm not going to the games anymore, but they'll either still watch it on the TV, they'll still watch YouTube channels, they'll still buy merchandise, they'll still watch Match of the Day and all that kind of stuff to get the news about their football club, even though they don't want to give the club the money for them to physically go there. But any of those things you're doing are all generating some kind of income, some kind of clickbait, some kind of interest in that club, right? So you are all really inputting something. So I guess my point is this, and I know I'm rambling. I'm really sorry because I'm just rambling on. But we've got the transfer deadline day today. So far, we have bought 3 18-year-olds, a 19-year-old, and Dominic Solanke. Okay, but we have also cleared out a whole range of players that you, as fans, not you personally, but you fans across the board, have all called out as deadwood, over the hill, not good enough, blah blah blah. Right. So we have cleared out a massive burden on the wage bill, and we have brought in, like I say, 3 18-year-olds, a 19-year-old, and 26-year-old Dominic Solanke, right? All according to the manager, players that he wants. He wanted these players as part of his squad, right? So the football club have employed Ange Postecoglou. He's the one who says yes or no. That the direction that the club want to go in is one of data-driven success. So they want to do data-driven purchases of the right players for the right positions. They're highlighted by the recruitment people, which is a massive team, and Ange Postecoglou says, yes, I will take that man. That he's exactly what I'm looking for, based on not just their attributes and their data, but also their character, their commitment, and their relationship with that expected from them with the other players within the team. So that kind of all sounds good. To sort of say, it's all in theory, all kind of sounds good, and all the rest of it. But us fans will sit there and go, and I can see it, and I'm desperately trying to get away from social media as much as possible, right? But it's difficult because if you want to promote like these videos or something like that, you kind of have to bang it on Twitter or Facebook or whatever to get anyone to kind of maybe listen to you and agree with you or whatever, or not, as the case may be. But it's just so toxic. I just cannot get my head around how toxic it is in terms of people literally calling people out, having mass arguments, keyboard warrior stuff. But I guess the one question that keeps coming back to me is, if you're not happy about it, what do you do about it? What are you actually going to do that's really going to make a difference? What options are there, right? So we can talk about, and there has been, not that long ago, we did have people kind of protesting and stuff with some banners and all the rest of it. And fair play to them, like that's their choice and everything. And I commend them. It's their opinion, right? But ultimately, what power does a fan have, and what are you actually going to do that's going to make a tangible difference, right? So everyone says to me, don't go to the games. Okay, so I don't go to the game. So I've paid out somewhere in the region of £1,000 for my season ticket. So I don't go to the game. So what do you want me to do? So shall I forfeit the £1,000, just pay £1,000? The club still gets the money. They still get what they want, but they've got a seat in my space. Okay, I lose £1,000, plus I lose the other aspects of what I go to football for, and I'll come on to that in a sec, right? So I lose that. I lose that £1,000, right? It doesn't impact the club apart from the fact that they've got an empty space, right? And I'm hurting myself. Okay, so really, you want a mass scenario of that. You want that to be a massive amount of people, right? So you've got to get to make a difference. You're going to need a coordinated, maybe 10,000 people to not go to the matches, to have a to have any kind of impact, like as a showing impact. How many people that pay out their money are prepared to do that, to give up, you know, not only the money for the matches, but also the money, the experience of the day and all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be difficult to do. Now, you could do it for one game, maybe. You could go, right, okay, look, let's organise one day where all the fans boycott it and don't go. You're talking 60,000 people. Like, you know, and even if you've got 1,000 people, it's just not a big enough impact. And the club's still getting the money, right? And they just want your money. They don't care whether, like, even during COVID, the stadiums was empty. The clubs will tell you it made a difference, but the amount of money they get from TV, they could play without fans. They could even put fake noise on. They could put big banners up. I mean, back in I think it was back in the 80s, Arsenal, even when they was doing a new clock end, I mean, they put boards up with pictures of fans on. You know, they can even do stuff like that. They can use AI to virtually make the stadium look. So ultimately, like, you know, it's an option, but you'd have to be massively organised that to really have an impact. So what else can you do? Right? So give up your season ticket. Okay. So I give up my season ticket that it took me 20 years to get. Okay. Give up my season ticket for a season. I will never get my season ticket back again because there are so many people on the waiting list that my ticket will be snapped up and gone, and I'll never have an opportunity again. So that's not really an option if I want to continue to support my football club. If I still, you know, going to football is still part of my hobbies, my entertainment, you know, for me as a person. So can't really do that either. So what other things are there? So we can protest. We can't take a flag in the stadium unless it's been signed off by health and safety, right? And I know that because I carry the South Dorset Spurs flag, and I have to have this letter on my phone. I can show the steward and say, "No, I've got approval that my flag is allowed in the stadium." So, okay, you can't even, you know, you can't really take loads of banners to protest and stuff like that. Coordinate it slightly, but you'll get picked out on the CCTV because it's CCTV everywhere, blah, blah, blah. You cause yourself all sorts of problems, get yourself banned, all that kind of malarkey. So you can see the point I'm making, right? That we're getting to a point where people are getting really, really upset with the transfer policy of the club, the lack of trophies over the last 20 odd years, the direction that ENIC had taken us, Daniel Levy being a twat, all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, what I'm trying to get out of my system is, where's the fan power in any of this as an individual, you know? And that's what really frustrates me, is that I hear people going, we shouldn't put up with it. We need to make a stand. We need to, you know, whatever. And I'm like, okay, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What do you want me to do? How are you going to influence all those people? Because actually, not everybody feels the same. Some people, and I'm not saying me in particular, but some people actually quite like the direction that we're going and think it's the right way. Now, that's their choice, right? So you're not going to influence them to do something if they don't believe it's the right thing to do. So, and football is all about opinions. So not just the football itself, but how the club's run, how it's supported. I mean, we've got people that literally call out, if you don't live in the local area and go to every game home and away, you are less of a fan. Well, come on. You know, there's all different types of fans. There's the fans that can go to every single game home away in Europe, and all the rest of it, including pre-season friendlies and stuff. They have the flexibility in their work and the financial power to be able to do that. You've got fans that will do all the home and all the away and the European games. You'll have fans that can only do the home and the away games in the UK. You'll have fans that can only do the home games. And you'll have fans that can only do occasional games. And you'll have fans that come from abroad, you know, and try to get to the games as often as possible. But it doesn't make them less about. You've got fans that can only ever watch on TV because they might live in Australia or somewhere. That doesn't make them less of a fan, right? These people support the club. They are ingrained in the club and love the club as much as you do, or I do, or whatever. And I hear the term about tourists and stuff. Well, I get that, but are they actually tourists, or are they just people that only get the opportunity to come from time to time, and it's their one-time opportunity to actually come and support the players of their team? And there are reasons why people support the club they support, right? That they've never heard of Tottenham before Son Heung-min joined Tottenham. They've never heard of us. But now that they have heard of us, they've got a massive following. So is that a bad thing? Is it a bad thing? Really? For those people to enjoy our club as much as we do? I live in Dorset. I live in Poole. Okay? I didn't always live in Poole. I lived in Hackney. I was born and brought up in Hackney. I go to the games because I was involved in it, and I loved the club and all the rest of it. All the guys I go to football with from South Dorset Spurs all have connections to the club one way or another. And we travel up, start early in the morning, get home late at night. It's a full day out and all the rest of it. But we do that commitment pretty much week in, week out, all the home games, all the European games, midweek games, all the rest of it. There's always a core of people that go to all those games. Not all of us can. Like I said, I've got a full-time job. I can't afford to just keep coming up to London, on a Tuesday evening and give up an afternoon's work of the day and a day's the next day. It's just not always possible. But does that make me less of a fan? Am I less of a fan than anybody else who goes to every game? I'd love to go to every game. I'd love to go to every game. Home, away, Europe, I'd love it. Absolutely love it. It's just not possible. It's not feasible. So, it creates there is this negativity around football, about how people feel about everything. But you have to take it where it is. Now, we've been through all these 20 odd years of manager in, new project, all goes out. New manager, new project, comes to nothing. New manager. And we keep this cycle going and going and going. Then we get to Pochettino. We get really close to actually winning something, which was a great time to be in, right? But how many people would actually knew all of the players that we were purchasing and getting at that time before they signed? Who knew that Kyle Walker was going to be a good a player as he was? Who knew that Toby and Jan were going to be as good as they were? Who knew that Harry Kane was going to be this brilliant striker? I mean, I can remember watching Harry Kane when he first started playing for Tottenham as a youngster and thinking to myself, this kid's got everything, but he can't score. He's never going to do it. He's never going to make it. And yet, look at him now, right? So the point is, you just don't know. You just don't know what's gonna happen, right? So we get to this point with Pochettino, we were this close, and everyone was calling out, we just need that one little bit more, one more step over, just someone who actually knows how to win. So we go for Mourinho, and we know how that turned out, and then we go for Conte, and we know how that turned out. And we'll say, yeah, because the club didn't back him. But that's okay, they didn't. And I'm not saying that the owners are good, but what I'm saying is, we wanted that to happen. And when it happened, the club didn't back them anyway. So it's just frustrating, right? So here we are now, after going through the Mourinho and the Conte and Espirito Santo and all that kind of stuff. We're now at a point where the club have said, right, okay, we're going to bring in a manager who, A, we believe plays football in the right way, B, has the right sort of philosophy and the right kind of personality, C, has won trophies, albeit not trophies that you might want to see him winning. He's won trophies, he's been successful and so on, and he believes in similar things to us, bringing in youth players, bringing in younger players, revamping the squad and all the rest of it. And they've said it's going to be a journey. It's not going to happen in 2 transfer windows. It's going to take time. And the club are spending money. When we spend money on Solanke, everyone goes, Jesus Christ, 65 million for that donkey. What a joke, blah, 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 you know, all the rest of it. But, hey, you tell me where you're going to get a proven goal scorer in the Premier League for less money. And if people tell me Ivan Toney, all I'll say to that is, where's everybody else clambering to buy Ivan Toney? Right? There's obviously some kind of issues there, and you have to have the right mix and the right attitude, the right type of attitude to be within a team. I manage people. I've managed people for the last 36 years, right? And it doesn't matter how good a person is at their job. If they don't fit in with you and your team and the way you want to work, it can be difficult. And you end up with lots of issues with, you know, this one wanting more than this one, and this one needing that attention, this one needing that support, and this one makes that one feel uncomfortable. Blah. So you've got to take personalities into account. Then these are people. These are footballers, are people. They are not robots. So you cannot just determine how they're going to behave. Right? You get what I mean? So it's a real difficult one. Now, I'm not saying that they've done the right thing here. I'm not saying that it's right, it's wrong, or whatever. We don't know. It's time's going to tell. The one thing I would say is, from my point of view, as a fan, I want stability, right? So I want my manager to be the manager for a sustained period. I don't want to keep changing the manager every other week. Because if I change the manager every other week, you never get stability. You never ingrain your philosophy of how you want it to work. And Ange has his philosophy. He has his way of playing. So you've got, you know, and generally speaking, I've quite enjoyed some of it. You know, not all of it, but some of it I've enjoyed it. I like the way he speaks. I like that he's empathy. I like the fact that he comes across as down to earth. I enjoy it. I like his press conferences, all that kind of stuff. I've taken to him as a person. So I want him to be successful. But you've got to give him time. So he's saying, these are the players I want. This is the style I want. These players fit in. You've got to give it time. You've got to give them time to do it. Because what other option have you got? Coming back to my very first point, what other option have you got apart from sitting here moaning? Now, we can sit on YouTube or in the pub or whatever and talk about it and go, this player had a bad game, this player's not good enough, all that. And that's healthy debate. That's healthy debate. But someone in the club decided, this is the player that I want for my team. I use Brennan Johnson as an example. Brennan Johnson is the current fall guy. And I'm not saying Brennan Johnson is the best player on the pitch. What I'm saying is, he was recruited based on his data points. Ange said he wanted him. Ange keeps playing him. So in my mind, it's up to Ange to make him into the player that Ange believes he can be. And I'm prepared to see how that goes and see how that kind of moves on. But one thing's for sure, there's been an absolute total revamp of this football club. Players are leaving, we're moving on, we're moving them out of the club, and we are bringing in a totally fresh squad. You know, there's very few players still hanging about from previously. Lo Celso's likely to go, Reguilon's likely to go. That only kind of leaves probably Ben Davies and Sonny as kind of legacy players, if you like. And I know Ben Davies gets an awful lot of stick, but you know, as a journeyman, as someone who's a backup, as a backup to a backup, who kind of gives everything, I still feel that he is poorly put in the same bracket as a lot of the other deadwood that we've had. You know, your Lo Celsos, who I really have no time for, and Dombele and Dyer and places like that. He gets lumped with all of that, and I don't personally think that's good. And it's about opinions. Before you say anything, it's just an opinion. So anyway, so ultimately, this is, and I'm sorry for this is a rant, but the window shuts at 11 o'clock tonight. We have what we have. Will we get anybody else? I don't know. Do we need anybody else? Yes, of course we do. We need a left-sided centre-back maybe. We definitely need backup for Udogie. I still feel that we need someone in the number 6, although we've got, you know, Bissouma, Bentancur, Gray can all play in that position. So is Ange kind of making space for the next transfer window? Because, like he said, it's not going to be fixed in one or two windows. It's going to take time. So I just wanted to get it off my chest, I guess. That am I happy with the window? No, not really. Of course, I want more. Everybody wants more. Otherwise, what's the point? But do I know that actually I have no influence over it anyway? So I've got to do it, and I'm going to support my football club, whatever, because it's my football club. It's been my football club for, dare I say it, 50 years, right? So it's been my football club for 50 years. I go to football. I don't just go for the 90 minutes. I go for the banter on the bus. I go for the breakfast in the Gilpin. I go for the music in LTs with DJ Dell. I go for the Jaeger bombs with the South Dorset Spurs. I go to meet up with Sweary Alex. I go to meet up with my old schoolmates. I'll go for the pole dancer in the Bill Nicholson. I go for, all that. It's all part of it. James Black rather, with his songs pre-match and stuff like that, and seeing people smiling and happy. I go for the banter. I go to meet my cousins. It's not just about that 90 minutes. It's about the sing-song and all that kind of stuff. I go out there with my son. I've been up with my grandsons now. It's a legacy, something that I've kind of instilled in them, that the next fans of Tottenham will still be there. Joshua and Bentley will still be there when I'm long gone. And that's a legacy that I've started. So it means something to me. So I'm not going to abandon my football club because of a transfer policy, because my family will be supporting Tottenham long after Daniel Levy's in the ground, right? And that's my legacy. And that will last longer than Daniel Levy's legacy, So, yeah. Listen, I'm ranting on. If you've got 32 minutes into this video, then well done you. And most people watch these videos when they're having a tom tit. So maybe you'll have to spread this over the course of a week to get through it all. So apologies for dragging it out. And when you listen, it may not be making any sense. I may just be rambling on and making all the wrong points whatsoever. So please do feel free, leave your comments in the comment section. I read them all. I respond, generally speaking. And if you've liked what I've said and you're not been on my videos before, please do think about maybe subscribing, because that helps the algorithm. Liking helps the algorithm, and so on and so forth. Notification bell, I think, is the other thing that you're supposed to call out, right? Which tells you when I've made another video. I'll be back after the Newcastle game at the weekend, and then I'll also be putting out another episode of Shoot the Shit on the Wednesday. So please do look out for that. It's available on audio platforms as well, so you can listen to it while you're walking the dog, or out for a drive, or you're just sitting in the lounge and your missus is watching Emmerdale and you don't want to watch Emmerdale. You can plug your headphones in and just listen to me rambling on with my mates about Tottenham and about what happened at the weekend. But anyway, listen, if you've managed to get this far into this video, fair play to you. Thanks for watching and putting up with it. And I hope to see you on the next one. And fingers crossed, maybe there'll be a couple more signings before the end of the day and we can all be very, very happy. But anyway, look, keep the faith, keep supporting, and up the Spurs.